Yo, what is going on, fundamentals class? It's your teacher, Mr. Lopez, coming at you with another lesson, chapter 12 of your fundamentals of math textbook. Today we're going to be talking about section 5, solving equations involving addition and subtraction. And congratulations, guys, you have made it this far. You have made it all the way to the point where we are actually talking about something called algebra. All right. Yay, algebra. Now this is something that's near and dear to my heart because I teach not only algebra 1, but pre-algebra, algebra 2. So this is your first step towards, growing up mathematically. So I'm excited for you guys. I hope you guys are excited. Let's go ahead and look at a definition that you must have in your notes. Reminder, you guys have to take notes. Please put all of this stuff in your notebook. If you have to pause just so you can copy down the notes, you can, but these are also found in your book. You guys should know all this stuff. I just want to make sure you guys are taking notes. All right, we're going to go ahead and define the word solution. And when it comes to equations, a solution is a number that when substituted for a variable, it makes an equation true. Now, this is a really important concept, not only in math, but in life. But what is truth? Well, in mathematics, we know that 2 is equal to 2. We could also say something like 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. And I can ask myself, is that true? Yes. All right, because I can add 2 apples plus 1 apple equals 3 apples, and it is true. Now we're going to be substituting in for our variable, and another way that we can say that is we can evaluate. So whenever you have a problem that's asking, is this number a solution, we're going to evaluate and then answer the question, is it true? Let's go ahead and look at example number 1. Example number 1 says, is 14 a solution of s plus 23 equals 37? Now, I do know that s, a letter, in this case, is a variable. And a variable can represent any number that it wants. And what we're going to ask specifically, if s is equal to 14, is this true? So, let's go ahead and identify our variable. We're going to substitute. 14 is going to replace s. And we're just going to go ahead and add 23 plus 14. If I add that, I get 37. And we're going to answer the question, is it true? So is it true? Does 37 equal 37? Well, yes. They are the same thing. So is 14 a solution of this equation? You would say yes. For problems like this, if asked on your homework or on a test, it's a yes or no question. So we need to figure out, is it true, and answer appropriately. Let's go ahead and look at skill check number 1. Determine if the given value is a solution, right? Yes or no. So we're answering the question, is it true? This equation says x minus 5 is equal to negative 8, and they're telling us that x is equal to negative 3. So we're going to go ahead and evaluate. We're going to go ahead and plug in negative 3 wherever I put x. Whenever I evaluate, I, like me personally, Mr. Lopez, the trained professional right here, loves to put parentheses and then go ahead and evaluate and put the value for x there. So negative 3 minus 5. So if I borrowed 3 apples from my neighbor, and then I had to borrow 5 more, all right, how many did I borrow total? Well, negative 3 minus 5 is the same thing as negative 8. Then we answer the question, is it true? Does negative 8 equal negative 8? I would say yes. So is negative 3 a solution for x minus 5 equals negative 8? The answer is yes. Example number 2 for this type of problem gives us a new equation and a new number to plug in. If y equals 18, is it a solution? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to evaluate wherever I see y. I'm going to put a parentheses. I'm going to plug in 18 for that number. I'm going to add 18 plus 15 because the operation is addition between them. When I add these together, 8 plus 5 is going to be 13, and I get 33. Does 33 equal 34? Is this the same? I'm going to say no. So is 18 a solution to this equation? No, it is not a solution. Cool? Cool. skill check number 1 continues with 2 more problems. This time, instead of using addition or subtraction, they're going to use multiplication and division. But really, it's the same process. We're still going to evaluate, and we're still going to answer the question, is it true? So, if z is equal to -6, I'm going to plug in -6 wherever I see z. In this case, there's no operation between them, so we understand that this is multiplication. So 12 times -6 is -72. And does -72 equal +72? Nope. This is not a solution. The answer for this one would be no. For this problem, if I plug in 44 for w, 44 goes there, and I go ahead and divide. 44 divided by -4 is -11. And does -11 equal -11? Yes. So is it a solution? Yes. So again, we're just going to be evaluating and answering the question, is it true? Now this is just one type of equation work that you can do. You can also solve for equations. And when you are solving an equation, if you perform an operation on the left side of the equation, you must perform the same exact operation on the right side of the equation. And this brings me to a very famous saying that I use, and if you have me as a teacher again, I guarantee that you'll hear this again. And this is a very true aspect of math and life, that life isn't fair, but math is. So what we're saying right here is that if you ever have an equation, you have to do the same thing on both sides. You have to be fair. You might think in your own life, well, life's not fair, and that's true. But one of the reasons why I like math so much and why I love teaching math is because it's fair. There are rules to follow. You follow the rules, you usually get the right answer. All right, and for most things, there are solutions and there are proper ways to do things. Life doesn't always work out that way, right? Like you're thinking about your own personal family. If you have siblings, maybe you're the older sibling or younger sibling. If your parents give your brother or sister $5, the first thing that you probably say is, "Hey, Mom, where's my $5?" And then they're like, first thing that my parents would tell me is life isn't fair. All right, and then I realize I'm not really favored. All right, that's the test to see if you're the favorite child. All right, who gets more money? I'm just kidding. That is not true. All right, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the idea of equality and fairness in math. Another physical application of this is in the weight room. Like, I don't know if you've ever been in a weight room. You guys are kind of young, but you guys will get there eventually, especially the athletes in the class. All right, if you want to get big and strong, you want to go the extra mile, you probably will have to lift weights because you guys are probably pretty weak right now. That's just the truth. All right, if you were in the weight room and you had a bar full of weights, very rarely, and never should you ever see anybody that has a different amount of weights on two sides of the bar. All right, if I have, let's say that this is 35 pounds on this side, you should probably have 35 pounds on this side. All right, if I put weight on one side, I should probably balance this out. All right, if I have 0 pounds on this side, and if I plan on using this bar, I should probably have 0 pounds on the other side. What happens if you have uneven weights? One, you look super dumb. All right, people in the gym are going to be making fun of you, and you're probably going to end up being a meme. All right, or two, maybe even worse, is you guys won't be balanced. And when equations aren't balanced, they end up looking as ridiculous as this dude. All right, so we always want to balance our equations by using what we call inverse operations. So in solving an equation, you must undo the operation that is performed on the variable. All right, we're going to use the term inverse operations. All right, and by definition, inverse operations will always undo each other. They cancel each other out. Like here's an example. The inverse operation of addition is subtraction, right? Like if I have a basic equation, like let's say 3 plus 1 is equal to 2 plus 2. 3 plus 1 is 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. Right now they're balanced. And let's say I decided to go ahead and add 3 on this side. What would I have to do in order to be fair? I would have to add 3. All right, easy enough. Cool. All right. Now let's go ahead and take that same exact equation, 3 plus 1 equals 2 plus 2. These are right now balanced. They are truth. This is a truthful equation. Let's say I add 5 to this side. Is it balanced? No, there's too much on this side. So how do I undo that? How do I get rid of this change? Well, the opposite of positive 5 is negative 5, or the opposite of addition is subtraction, and these will cancel out. And now that these canceled out, we're back to an equal equation, which is what we need. The inverse operation of multiplication is division, and we'll talk more about this in the next lesson. But for today, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and stick to addition and subtraction. Cool? Now, here are the steps that we're going to go ahead and use whenever we want to solve equations involving addition or subtraction. Now, this works for both of these. All right, in the last few examples for this lesson, I'm going to involve this. Go ahead and write this down in your notes. Pause it now if you need to. I'm going to go ahead and talk about these steps. Step number 1 that we want to do is we want to go ahead and identify, and the way that we're going to identify the variable in this class is we're going to go ahead and circle it. We're going to circle the variable, and then we're going to identify his buddy. Now I'm going to go ahead and say, the way I teach my class is we call the number next to the variable his buddy. All right, and what we want to do is we want to get rid of that buddy. We want to isolate the variable. All right, like think about your lives right now in quarantine. All right, maybe the buddy has the coronavirus and we need to get rid of him and put him in his own home. All right, the way that we get rid of the buddy is by using our inverse operations. All right, so let's go ahead and look at an example. Again, let's run through these steps again. Circle the variable, then we're going to identify his buddy, and then we're going to apply our inverse operation. Example 2 says solve this equation. All right, we can say that 9 plus n is equal to 32. So the first thing I want to do is circle my variable, and my variable is n. And who's his buddy? His buddy is 9. This is his buddy. All right. Now, I don't know why I wrote it like that. I just went with it. I shouldn't have called attention to it, but I did. All right. How do I get rid of 9? Well, right here we have positive 9. So what's the opposite of positive 9? Negative 9. Right? And because this is math and math is fair, if I subtract 9 on this side, I have to subtract 9 on this side. That's the only way that we can solve this. Now, 9 minus 9 is 0, and all I have left is n. And n is equal to whatever 32 minus 9 is, which is going to be 23. All right, 2, 13, yep, 23. Okay. Now, this is our answer, and this is all we would have to do. We followed our steps, our 3 steps. We circled our variable, we identified his buddy, and then we did the inverse operation of positive 9 is negative 9, and I added that on both sides. And that gives us our variable. How would I check our answer? You would go ahead and plug it into the original equation. We're going to evaluate, and then we see, is it true? 23 plus 9 is 32, and does 32 equal 32? Yes, it does. So it checks out. Another way that might work for you, maybe a more verbal approach to this, is you can replace the word or the variable with the word what, and that also works. Like if I ask 9 plus what equals 32, I might figure out that 23 plus 9 equals 32. All right? You guys have actually done this before on all the worksheets in the first half of the school year. You guys were solving equations and you guys didn't even know it. All right, this one may be a little bit more complicated because it's asking us to translate this as a algebraic expression. 12 is 4 more than a number. So the word is an equal sign, and it says 12 equals 4 more than a number. So we're going to move this to the back. So this is going to be n plus 4. Circle your variable. The opposite of adding 4 is subtracting 4. And you do it on both sides. 8 equals n. All right? Or you can write it as n equals 8. Both are equally true. So let's go ahead and look at skill check number 2. And we're going to try to solve each equation. We're going to go ahead and look at this one. It says b plus 7 is equal to 12. So step number 1 is we're going to circle our variable. Then we're going to find his buddy. The buddy is going to be positive 7. We can ask ourselves, what's the opposite of positive 7? And I'm going to write negative 7. Now, because this is math and math is fair, I have to, if I subtract 7 on this side, I have to subtract 7 on both sides. On both sides. All right, 7 minus 7 cancels out. It equals a 0. And then the last thing I have to do is subtract. If I subtract, I end up getting 12 minus 7 is 5, and I get b is equal to 15. All right, so the answer to skill check 2, part 1, is 15. Part 2, we're going to go ahead and circle our variable and find his buddy. His buddy is positive 13. The opposite of positive 13 is negative 13. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract or add negative 13 on both sides, like this. Remember, because this is math and math is fair, I have to do it on both sides of the equal sign. All right, n just goes ahead and just falls down here. And 13 minus 13 is the same thing as 0, so that cancels out. And all I have left over is 40 minus 13. I'm going to go ahead and borrow from the 4, and I get 10 minus 3 is 7, and 3 minus 1 is 2. So n is equal to 27. And that would be our answer. This next example, we're going to circle our variable. In this case, our variable is w, and his buddy is 9. So the opposite of adding 9 is subtracting 9. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 9 on both sides. This cancels out, and I get w is equal to negative 3 minus 9. If you borrow $3 and then borrow $9 more, you borrowed a total of $12. So w is equal to negative 12. All right. Example 4 deals with pretty much a similar process, but in this case, we're going to go ahead and figure out, well, what happens if we have negative numbers in there? Well, let's go ahead and look at it. First thing we do is we circle our variable. In this case, our variable is a, and then we find out who's his buddy. Well, his buddy is negative 18, and the opposite of negative 18 is positive 18. So when I add these together, negative 18 plus 18 equals 0, and all I have left over is a, which means our variable is isolated. If I add 18 on this side, I have to be fair, and I have to add 18 on this side. So 7 plus 8 is 15. All right, almost got right there. That could have been bad. All right, I did add 18 on both sides, but I notice right here that these are different signs. I have negative 47 plus 18. Like if I owed somebody $47 and then paid back 18 of it, I don't owe more money, I owe a little bit less. All right, so this is going to be the same thing as subtracting. So this is going to be the same thing as 47 minus 18, but we're going to keep our negative sign. So when I go ahead and subtract, this is going to be borrow, and 17 minus 8 is 9, and I'm going to have negative 29. So that one could have been tricky. That one could have been tricky. And with trickier problems, maybe it's a really good idea to go ahead and check your answer. How would I check my answer? I would go ahead and evaluate. If I had negative 29 plus negative 18 and I add them together, that would actually give me negative 47. And does negative 47 equal negative 47? You betcha. There we go. All right, last example for us to do. We're going to go ahead and look at example 5. And they give us another problem where they ask us to go ahead and translate the sentence into an algebraic equation. It says 5 less than the number is equal to. So remember, whenever we see the words is or equal to, we're going to put an equal sign, and we're going to write this. Now, we do know 5 less than a number. Whenever you see the term less than, you're supposed to put it in the back. And this is going to be the same thing as n minus 5. This is 5 less than a number is equal to 19. Now, same thing's going to apply. I'm going to go ahead and circle my variable. My variable is n, and the buddy is -5. What's the inverse operation, or the opposite of -5? +5. So I'm going to go ahead and add 5 on this side. Now, because this is math and math is fair, I have to add 5 on the other side. So 19 plus 5, we're going to go ahead and get 24. So n is equal to 24. So 5 less than 24 is equal to 19. So to recap, just to put all of this stuff together, make sure that you guys are circling your variable. Make sure you guys are finding your buddy and applying the inverse operation. The opposite of addition is subtraction, and the opposite of subtraction in this case is addition. And make sure you are fair and do it on both sides, because life isn't fair, but math is. All right, that's it. That's all I have for you this lesson. Good luck on your homework. Have fun, and if you have any questions, ask in class or in office hours. All right, make sure you guys show all of your work from your homework in your notebooks. See you later. Peace.